What's up? This is Manafest. Welcome to another I'm a Fighter podcast, episode 65.
It's too late, it's my fate, I can't turn around. There's no fear in the mirror.
What's up? Welcome to another I'm a Fighter podcast where we want to entertain, inspire, and educate and remind you that a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits. I'm just looking over my journal right now and I got some really cool quotes I want to share before we jump into today's podcast. The only thing that stands between a man and what he wants from life is often merely the will to try it and the faith to believe that it's possible. How true is that, man? To just be able to believe that you can do it and have the faith that it is possible, to trust God. You know what? Faith is in the future. Dreams are in the future. I was sharing the other day about chasing your dreams and conquering dreams and pursuing the dream. And I realized that that's going to be a lifelong thing no matter what, because dreaming is always in the future. Once you've attained one dream, you're going to have another dream and another dream. Dreams are always in the future, and that's what's so awesome, because you're always painting that picture of what you are and contrasting it to what you would like to become. Why do so many people let their dreams die unlived? The biggest reason is the negative, cynical attitudes of other people. That's right. You got to be careful who you share your dreams with. And currently, I am living in a dream, chasing the dream right now. I'm actually in Nashville, Tennessee as I record this. I'm in my buddy Seth's studio because we're working on my new album, which we just recorded 2 really awesome tracks that I'm so stoked about, and I just can't wait for you guys to hear this new record. Speaking of new music and who's got some really cool stuff going on, that's KJ52. We just did some new rebranding to his site and his image and his career. He's independent now as well, and just doing some really awesome stuff. He's got a new record out, and I had the chance to interview him, and so let's jump into that interview right now with my good friend KJ52. Well, dude, KJ, so stoked to be chatting on the phone, doing an interview. It's been a long time coming. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So I just want to jump right into it. I have personal questions because, I've followed you for a really long time. Where did rhyming and hip-hop and everything, where did it all start for you?
I think probably for me, like most kids, I think it was just being enamored and captured. I made up a new word.
I like it.
Just by the culture. So I guess maybe it probably started with breakdance and then morphed itself into pretending to DJ. And then I think the rhyming probably came last, mainly because I think I was so intimidated by the genre, and that I felt like, that aspect was just it was the hardest line to cross. So I would write rhymes probably around 13, 14 in my bedroom, kind of hide them. I probably only showed like one person. It wasn't until coming to know Christ, probably around 15, and then breaking my nose pole vaulting around 17.
Oh,
I know, right?
amazing.
It left me at home basically bored and with this newfound faith. And so I think that's when I wrote like my first Christian rap, probably my senior year of high school, out of boredom. And I took an instrumental and just sort of wrote in the pieces, because I remember the instrumental still had vocals on it in parts. So like there would be parts where the other part would come in, and I just worked it into the rhyme.
Yeah.
But it was at a camp that I first got up in front of somebody, and that was I guess you could say the first time.
Dude, that's awesome. And what you said about the idea of believe, like you kind of looked at the breakdancing thing, the DJing first, and then the rhyming. And it's like you had to convince yourself, like, can I really do this, and should I be doing this, and why me, kind of thing, right? Like you got to kind of overcome like that fear or thought, like I can't do this, only for other people. But obviously, there is a point where you're like, you know what, I can do this, and I'm gonna step out and give her.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I remember what happened was they said anybody has a talent, you can get up and do it. And that was at this camp, and I really didn't have anything I could do except for this rap I had memorized. And so I threw caution to the wind, not having any beats, not having any anything to rap off except for them clapping their hand, like in time.
Dude, that's rad.
And just my heart in my throat kind of deal, and just basically like hoping I wouldn't just blank out and forget anything, and getting like a little ovation at the end, and it was just enough to maybe encourage me to keep going at it.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all we need. I know for me, I was big into DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and I think I literally my first rhymes were changing the ends of their lyrics to my own.
Yeah, I think that's generally how it goes. I mean, I read an article one time, and they kind of talked about the stages of creation, and they say, the stages are usually imitation, then it turns into emulation, and then it turns into inspiration, and then it turns into creation. And so it's like you go through these steps where you are inspired, and you're pretty much just copying, and then hopefully, if you can even get past the point of creation, you get into the place of innovation.
Yeah.
And I was definitely at the emulation stage, but it is what it is. You got to start somewhere, right?
No, for sure, man, for sure. And so, speaking of starting somewhere, I was originally introduced to you by a guy named Nathan Suds from Feed Magazine a long, long time ago. He handed me a Sons of Intellect tape with the song Worldwide on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Was that right before?
Tape.
Like, I've released a vinyl, dude, and I've released a CD, but I haven't had the honor to say I released a tape, or you've been around. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was well, technically that wasn't my first release. I had a solo EP under a different name back in the day before that, but yeah, my first foray into like really going at it was myself and Golden Child. We were Sons of Intellect.
Okay.
And Worldwide was like the first single we did, and then we did an album about a year later.
Okay, cool. I was in a rap group called Under One King, and my name was Speedy, and so that really needed to change. And a lot of people don't know that. I can't even believe I just shared that on the podcast. But anyways, obviously I'm still got issues about it. But my guy's name was Justa Chow, so he was my other guy that I rhymed with. So you were with Golden Chow, and I was with Justa Chow, or just bunch of chows. Anyways, I just think that's cool, man. There's a lot of similarities. That's kind of I didn't even know we had, even with you having the pole vault accident. I had the skate accident, and again, like even we were sharing a little bit before this. Tours get canceled, things happen, but you're not the type of guy to sit on your hands and mope in depression and sadness. You get up and make things happen. It's like, okay, God, you got something else for me, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, I do mope and sit on my hands, but I just don't refuse. I refuse to sit there and keep moping. But, but yeah. Some circumstances happened, and tours got canceled, and I figured I'd make the best of it. And so it's funny. I actually picked up graffiti art again, which I haven't messed with in about
cool, man.
13 years. And rather than doing just straight, piecing and writing, I started looking at the stencil street art movement, and it was kind of a way to kind of get my thoughts out. And so I started messing around with that just recently and actually incorporating it into my shows.
Oh, cool, man.
And, just doing a lot of stuff like that. So, I've been doing some school assemblies, a lot of local stuff, more speaking. And it's kind of funny how sometimes even in your slow times, whatever we want to define that as, God starts to show you things that you didn't know you really had in you.
Yeah.
And, you look down the path and go, oh, man, that's going to come in handy later probably. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely, man. No, that's so cool. As far as the new album, Mental, when did that come out? That's pretty recent, right?
Yeah, basically beginning of November. So it's only been a couple months. My first, I guess you could say independent release. It's more like a maxi EP. It's like 5 songs, 4 remixes, essentially.
Okay.
Pretty guest feature heavy. Like it's a return to form, I guess, for a lot of my stuff. Everybody from Lecrae to KB to Social Club to there's so many on there I keep forgetting. Propaganda.
Yeah, Propaganda. I saw him.
There's
on
a bunch
there.
of dudes. Yeah, there's guys on there. So I mean, it's it's like the first record I've been able to do live where I can do every song off the record, and I actually do.
That's cool, man.
So, but yeah.
Cool. How do you, when you collab with dudes, like, do you write the song first, come up with the concept, and like send it to them, or do you sometimes schedule the studio session with guys? or like how far along are you in the writing process before you even hit summing up and whatnot?
I usually have it to where it's anywhere between 70 to 90% done. I generally, I can't think of a time where I've really sat in a studio with somebody outside of Soul Glow Activator from Family Force 5, but that was more of a production side of things. So as
Right.
far as like,
Because he's a producer.
yeah, so collaborative wise, yeah, it's usually like, here's the pretty finished beat, here's the concept, here's what I've done, here's what it would be dope if you could do, that kind of idea. So that is my general MO, but sometimes you have guys that want to write on the spot. So like the Social Club guys, they just walked in the hotel room and were like, "Oh, we don't have this done yet, so we're gonna sit here until we finish it." I'm like, "Okay."
I love how certain dudes, man, like that I've worked with that just write it on the spot. Trevor McNevin from TFK, especially. I remember the first song we did together. He wrote the hook and the verse right on the spot, and it was dope. And his verse was better than mine, so of course I had to go try and write another one. But I was just like, dang, dude, I always appreciate that, and I've been able to pull it out of me sometimes, but it just depends, I guess, on the track and the mood. And I have to say, I probably prefer writing alone initially, um, unless it's like I don't know a hook or you're working with a producer or something like that. Who would you say is your favorite producer or artist that you've like worked with over the years? I know you've worked with so many people.
Honestly, I don't know if I can say there's one favorite. I think there is aspects of all of them that is my favorite. You know what I'm saying? And so like a Todd Collins, I mean, he was there with me for so many records in the beginning and so many of the songs that I have still to this day. And so I think, he was a major influence. But then you take a guy like Aaron Sprinkle, who brought a whole nother angle. But then you take a guy like Ted T on my last record, who, had me doing things in the studio I've never done before.
That's cool.
And then all the way up to now, just the two songs I did with Soul Glow, it was a completely different process where he was taking stuff I had already done, but maybe I got stuck on, and just was able to, and so quickly take those ideas and take them to the nth degree. So
Yeah.
what my favorite guy is, I think certain aspects of every one of them is my favorite.
Yeah. I always find when I work with a new producer and like all of a sudden they get me to do something I haven't done, it's kind of like at first I'm kind of like, well, I don't normally do it that way, I do it this way, but then inside it's like, okay, just kind of see it through at least, see it through, see where they're going with it, see where it lands with what they're asking me to do.
Exactly.
And I guess that's why we hire them, is because we there has to be a bit of a level of trust, right?
Exactly.
Dude, I had a couple more questions for you, and then I let you go. I didn't want to keep you too long, but you've been on a journey with like labels and stuff, and um, I can't even remember basically, if you could share the story, because I don't fully remember it or know it, but it was right before I think you signed with Tooth and Nail. You were with another label, and I don't know if it got dropped or what happened, but it was a bit of a crazy story. And then, collaborations really blew up, and like you're just crazy massive and just like everywhere. And I'm watching this as a kid from Canada, and I'm just excited to hear the bit of the journey and what you were going through and what you were thinking and during these times. And then
Yeah. Well, if it blew up, I certainly wasn't aware of it at the time, because I was still living in my apartment, and still, I don't think it definitely was a turning point, but I think at the time I was just trying to hustle and not get my car repossessed. But long story short, yeah, I used to be an inner city youth pastor. I sent in a demo to Goatee. From there, Todd Collins passed it to Essential Records, who signed me, and then I just basically jumped in a minivan and just went at it full time. Well, within about 6 months of my record releasing, I got dropped by that label, and was basically floating for an entire year with no deal and no real hookups, no real opportunities. In fact, a lot of ways I felt like everyone thought I was of damaged goods. Labels would not touch me, and they did not want to take another chance, because it was like, well, it didn't work that one way, so why would we try it? So
right.
Tooth and Nail kind of came in with a offer that was hard to refuse, And I had also at the time been going, I got to rethink the way I'm doing things because obviously it didn't work the first time around. So what happened on collaborations was a sort of a very thought out process of going, here's where I got to change. Here's where I got to make this better. Here's where I got to do this, 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 and this. And I had been sitting with Dear Slim sort of in my back pocket, and I was like, man, I could already see there was a groundswell of reaction over it. And I thought something about this song is going to do something. I did not think it would go as far as it did, but long story short, it did. And little by little, I saw things start to change a little bit. But I don't know if anywhere at any of those points that I ever feel like I had arrived, and I still don't. But I think things got to be a little more realistic, a little more doable. So
you could not necessarily relax, but you could see what the future might have and kind of get into a bit of a rhythm and like, oh, this is my career now. And is that is that the turning point? Like hey, this is my career. I can do this full time.
It was really the things that I've been praying for started to become a reality. That's really what it came down to.
That's
so
cool.
I mean, I was full time. Full time meant I was getting my car repossessed and getting evicted from my apartment and going in debt. So that was what my full time was.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's full time, but I was still not where I wanted to be. So it's like the first year I lost money. Second year I broke even. By the third year I started to sort of turn the corner. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was.
Dude, I love how you said just, praying with the things you were praying for were starting to finally come to pass. And, it's never an overnight, answer to prayer with that, I find. And I think there's times where we grow, and I don't know, you can't always put your finger on exactly why, but, I like to think that God is always preparing us for that success. Instead of just giving it to, if we just got it right away, everything we prayed for, we probably wouldn't even appreciate it either, right?
Absolutely.
The theme of the podcast is a fighter is somebody who never fails, a fighter is somebody who never quits. And you kind of shared that story. And I don't know if there's another one that you could say where you were maybe in a dark place, you're struggling, it was just a tough time, and you wanted to quit so bad, but you didn't. And maybe share why you didn't and what kept you going to keep fighting.
Well, I mean, I kind of touched on it already. I mean, essentially everything I had left, which was, the inner city ministry, was to go after this sort of dream of the music. And I felt like that's where I was supposed to be. Well, like I said, after 6 months of doing it, was in a really bad spot. And then, the final blow is just essentially that letter that came in the mail and just basically said, we're not renewing your contract and for the next option. And I think, I don't know if I did it at the time, but I definitely did at one point take that letter and I put it on the wall as motivation to say, I'm not defined by this letter. My calling is not defined by this letter. God's provision is not defined by this letter. And even though I might have put all my hopes and dreams in that contract at one point, I realized that the whole thing was bigger than I could imagine. Yeah. And so I kept that letter on the wall probably for years until I moved. And just to remind myself of, conscious, like you said, to keep fighting and to not allow circumstances to hold me down or stop me or make me give up. Or not that I didn't want to do any of those things. Trust me, I'm not saying I'm some Superman. Right. I certainly wanted to give up. I certainly wanted to throw in the towel. I certainly wanted to take the easy way. But I just kept pushing.
Dude, well, so we're so stoked you did, man. And that's powerful, man, because there's definitely times I wanted to quit so much, and getting those rejection emails from whether it's labels or radio or whoever, it's just kind of a part of this industry. And I guess I've come to learn that it is just a part of it, but it still doesn't lessen the blow or the pain sometimes.
Right.
I know one time there was this grant thing that I applied for in Canada, and I'd been rejected at least 16 times. And then I think it was in 2010, we finally got approved. And I was just like, woo! And I remember putting it on the wall as like, okay, it finally came to pass. If people want to connect with you online, where do they go to connect with you, man? Social media. I know you're on that stuff.
I'm pretty much wherever you're probably at. I mean, KJ52 is my Instagram name. I'm sorry, KJ52 is my Twitter name. KJ52 Instagram is my Instagram name. Of course, my website, I generally blog after every show. It's KJ52.com. Same thing with the Facebook page, KJ52. I'm sure there's a MySpace out there somewhere floating in the ether of the internet. But I can't say I'm on there.
Yeah, seriously.
But that's my main thing: Facebook, Twitter,
Cool.
Instagram, and my website.
Awesome. That was the interview with my man KJ52, crushing it, rocking it, doing some great things. Some awesome stories in there. As you can see, he's gone through some stuff. He's been through some things. But you know what? He didn't quit. He didn't give up. He got dropped from a record label. He's been through all kinds of stuff. And you know what? He's been a real inspiration to me. And I hope that interview really inspired you. Whether you want to be a musician, an artist, or whatever, just realize that, you know what? Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life just doesn't always work out right away. But you know what? Your breakthrough could be just around the corner. The key is to not quit. And what do we say in this podcast? That a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits. Hey, if you're an artist or you're a musician and you want to take your career to the next level, I want to encourage you to go sign up for my free course on the music business. That's at smartmusicbusiness.com, and sign up for the free video training series. And then eventually we'll send you the option to enroll for the course, Launching Your Career as an Artist. Hey, I believe in you guys so much. I want to thank you so much for joining this podcast. If you have not yet left a review, leave a review so I can know what you're thinking. Maybe someone you want me to interview or something you want me to talk about or cover on this podcast. Right now, I want to play for you the song Runaway.
We all thought about it once or twice. It's funny, I never thought that I'd be homeless. I used to walk by them, now I'm living on the corners, stretching for a touch of a hand, a dollar bill or a chance. Give me a sandwich bag, man, I'll do anything. With thoughts of desperation, my heart's racing. I'm not stargazing, I could die of starvation. Hallucinated from the days wasted, lost track of time while my mind's aging. People looking at me like a lost patient, like I'm already dead while they all hating. Did I choose this life or life choose me? I ran away at sweet 16. Mommy, do you miss me? This is Christmas. So I run and I run and I ran and I ran, praying maybe someday we might meet again. Cause it hurts when you hurt and I hurt and I feel like I'm healed. Can we all just make amends? Goodbye to the world, goodbye to my girl. Say hello to my home, the street corner. It's absurd, every word that was spoken. It must have come alive, cause my life is still broken. Wondering, did I miss it? What mistake did I make? Can I fix it? These streets are gone ballistic. This isn't what I thought it would be. Where's daddy? Is he still mad at me? I wonder would he have me back in the home, back in the zone, back where I can eat, where the seat and use a phone. Cause it hurts and I know I never said goodbye. I ran away, I thought like anything I could fly. So I run and I run and I ran and I ran, praying maybe someday we might meet again. Cause it hurts when you hurt and I hurt and I feel like I'm healed. Can we all just make amends? Mom and Dad, are you there? Are you listening? I wanna come home but scared of the mess I'm in. Please forgive me of the things I committed against you, against me, our family tree. And I know we haven't spoken so long, I'm so wrong to think I could live on my own accord. I'ma take the train home, what I need to know, if you'll welcome me back through your life's door. Show me a sign with the red ribbon, hang one on the side of the train building. And if I see it then I'll know that you're still willing. And if not, I won't ever call a visit. I'll pretend that I'm reliving the beginning, like when we used to talk in the kitchen without all the fights and friction. This is me wishing one of your ex-children, picturing, praying that you got the same feelings. I'm running. So I run and I run and I ran and I ran, praying maybe someday